I let AI design my woodwork, and here's the result. The thing that nobody talks about when using AI for image generation is that if you go in unprepared, it can just turn your best ideas into sawdust. So today we're going to do a deep dive on the practical usage of AI for image generation for things like this. So let's get to it. If you're a woodworker, AI might seem like a strange tool to add to your toolbox. So let me show you some inspiration. Each of these was designed at least partially with AI. And as I hope you can see, there's lots of possibilities here. And we're going to go into detail about how you can use AI for your projects. Maybe you've played with AI image generation, or maybe you've just heard about it. Maybe you've seen all the scary things about AI making photorealistic deepfakes, or how it's so easy to use that it's going to replace all the artists and designers. But what you probably haven't heard is what I want to give you today. And that's a discussion of AI image generation as a powerful design component to woodworking, something that gets a job done. Here's what I'm going to try to convince you of. Contrary to the hype, AI is not easy. Like any tool, it takes skill and practice to use it effectively. AI creates a new kind of artist, one that you can be, even if you've never held a paintbrush or picked up a chisel. I consider myself a reasonably creative person, but AI image generation blew my mind. It took me to places I never would have explored before. As all woodworkers know, any tool that's powerful is also dangerous. If used incorrectly, this tool can instantly convert your finest work into sawdust. While AI can't take off your fingers, it can destroy your most valuable possession, your ideas. Because it's easy to sit down at the computer full of enthusiasm and a clear vision. You fire up the AI and you naively make queries. But the typical result of this is that you'll fritter away countless hours, your enthusiasm evaporates, and in the end, you have a mind full of sawdust where once there was inspiration. This is the dangerous side of AI, and this is the pitfall I want to help you avoid. There's a lot to talk about, so let's sit down at the computer and get right to it. There's a lot of different AI image generation software already available. The one that I like best is called Stable Diffusion, and I like it for two reasons. One is that it's free, and two, I can download it onto my machine, which allows me to explore lots of images really quickly with it. There's a little bit of confusion about Stable Diffusion because there's different versions of it, but I'm just going to show you one of them. It's called Diffusion B. It's the one I like best. I'll put a link in the description, and we're just going to download it and just jump straight in. Okay, so here we are in the homepage of Diffusion B. We're going to click on this button that says text to image. And let's just type in something and see what happens. Now, in a lot of these generations, they take a few seconds. So in places, we'll cut forward to skip all that. Okay, yep, that's what we asked for. But, it's not going to cut very well. And honestly, it's really just pretty boring. And I think this really demonstrates the most important point there is to know about doing anything with AI. And that is if you ask for boring things, you're going to get a boring result. I want to share some specific rules for using AI. And this is the first and most important one, vocabulary. When using text-to-image generation AI, I'm often reminded of my middle school English teacher. She was always trying to get us to use rich vocabulary instead of plain boring words. She would say things like, try to describe a scene, and with a lot of interesting details. And so we're going to try to follow her advice and see if we can do better with this. All right, so let's try some new words here. I'm going to try stark, bold, silhouette. How about a winter tree and a close-up? Okay, let's hit generate. Okay, well, that's getting better. It's definitely cuttable. We've got this kind of silhouette outline. We could plausibly cut that, but I think we've got a long way to go. We need a lot more vocabulary here. Short of going back to school and getting a degree in art history and decorative design, I think the best solution is to go ask AI for more vocabulary. So let's try that. Here's an interesting cabinet I found on Wikipedia, and I'm not saying I want to make this exactly, but it's kind of interesting, and I want to use some of the elements from this. So let's see if we can get GPT, the AI, to give us words that describe this. So I'm just going to copy this image, and I'm going to go over to GPT, and I'm going to paste that in. Here's a picture I found that I like. Tell me about the style Give me words that describe this style and its history. And GPT can actually just look at an image like this and come up with things to say about it. Okay, it looks like an Art Nouveau. Okay, with a hint of something I've never heard of. Cool. Look at all these words: organic, flowing, sinuous, curvilinear. Now, these are exactly the kinds of words my English teacher liked. So let's try some of these words, see what happens. Let's go back over to Diffusion B, and let's try some different words. Let's try some of these words: decorative, ornamentation, branches, silhouette, close-up, and curvilinear. All right, let's see what that does. Okay, it's a little bit boring. It's definitely cuttable. The key to using this is you try a lot of things. And changing the seed number is like rolling the dice. So we're just going to try some stuff. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Let's try some more. Roll the dice again and try something else. Oh, okay, now we're talking. That's interesting. Some sort of fractally arts and crafts vibe. I mean, at least parts of this are cuttable. And it's pretty original. I've never seen anything quite like this. It's not quite a complete composition yet, but I think it's a pretty good start. What I want you to notice is how much variation I had to do to get one good image. You know, I mixed things up. I kept re-rolling the dice a little bit to see what comes up. This demonstrates important point number 2, which is curation. When you're using AI to design things, you should think of yourself as a curator, not a creator. You're going to generate lots and lots of images, and you're going to throw away almost all of them. So in this sense, it's a little bit like photography. To take a few good pictures, you've got to take a lot of bad pictures. There's no way around it. The secret is patience. And I can't give you patience, but I can give you inspiration. So here, I put together a great big list of interesting images I've made. Maybe some of these will inspire you. Here's some Art Nouveau flowers that I think would make a nice detail on a custom armoire. I love this abstract coral motif. I'm not really sure what to do with it, but it's just so evocative. Imagine these totem elements along the door of a children's playroom. I don't really know what this one is, but it just blows my mind. I want like an 8-foot version of that hanging in my house. I can see these swirling motifs carved as decorative elements on a drawer face. Or maybe marbling patterns can be used on a mirror frame. I could imagine these etchings adding texture to a headboard. Or maybe we want some traditional floral elements for a bespoke vanity. Or perhaps something more abstract for some really funky kitchen cabinets. So, rule number 3, productivity. In order to create a lot of images, you need to figure out how to create them quickly. So that requires a little bit of optimization. So let's look at that. Over here, there's a lot of advanced options. I'm going to click on this advanced option button over here. The first trick is to lower the resolution. So I'm going to put this down to 256 by 256. And that's going to create a much less high quality image. But there's a trick I'm going to show you at the end of this where we upscale these back into usable images. But okay, let me show you how much faster this is. So once we have these at 256 by 256, we can crank up our number of images to 4 at a time because they'll go a lot faster. So here, now we're going to get 4 of these at once. So by setting the screen resolution low, we're getting a lot more productivity here. And I like this one. That's interesting. Oh, that's nice too. And now we get to what I think is actually the most important creative advice when using generative AI, and that is juxtaposition. The crazier combinations of words you can come up with, the more creative it is. I mean, think about it. Humans have a hard time, if you ask them to join 2 ideas which are very unrelated, they'll have a hard time coming up with something at the intersection. But AI really shines in this because it doesn't really understand what any of this means. So it's happy to take words that have nothing to do with each other and produce some sort of interesting new thing. So let's try that. So when I was building these drawers, I was thinking of doing something trees, branches, but I wanted to explore it a little bit. I started thinking like, what else is branchy? And I thought, maybe lightning or rivers or that sort of stuff. And then I was looking in my room and I saw a circuit board. I was like, oh, a printed circuit board. So let's try a juxtaposition of a printed circuit board with those little branchy traces and a tree and see what happens if we put those two ideas together. Tree, branches, printed circuit board, integrated circuit, silhouette, black and white, bold, clean, SVG. And you can also put negative prompts. These are words which you don't want to show up. And for these kinds of cards, really useful words are things like colorful, blurry, messy, sketchy. So these are things we don't want it to be. All right, let's try a couple of those variations. Kind of not so interesting. Try another one. Oh, now we're talking. That's pretty interesting. It's rotated relative to what I want, but it's pretty interesting looking. Okay, so now let's try upscaling that. Let's go to Action. We're going to send to the upscaler to get a higher res version of this. And see how much cleaner that is now? All those blurry lines are now sharp lines. You can actually repeat that as many times as you want. So I'll send to the upscaler again. And yeah, now it's like crystal clean everywhere. So that's good. Let's save that. Save the image as, we'll call it a tree.ping. So I'm going to skip over further explorations here, and we'll just cut to importing this in Zig-Saw. In a previous video, we went into some detail about how we import this and carve it in Zig-Saw. So if you want to see that, go check it out. We'll put a link in the description. So I've got a couple of design files here. Click Next. It's separating the foreground and from the background. That's what that light blue is. We'll click Next. And our first layer is already imported. There it is in 3D. We can look at it. Let's watch the build montage. So I hope this all inspired you to create something beautiful with AI yourself. Try it out, explore. If you create something beautiful, please send us a picture of it. I can't wait to see what you made.